It is exactly 4 in the morning inside a heavily guarded concrete ammunition supply point. You are a platoon sergeant signing a digital manifest that transfers over $50,000 worth of high-explosive ordnance and small arms ammunition directly into your legal custody. Your men are shivering in the staging area, waiting to load the heavy wooden crates into the back of idling tactical vehicles. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell. We cover the stories the history books skip. You don't want to miss what's coming next. I served nearly 20 years in the special operations community. I am not going to name names or list specific operations. A lot of that is in the past and some of it stays there. I came back with this body, some titanium hardware in my spine, and a military disability rating. Now this channel is my job. I share the reality of what it takes to survive in the worst conditions on Earth. I share what I know, you watch, that is the exchange. Today we are stripping away the cinematic illusions of military training to examine the brutal, unclassified economics of a full-scale live-fire polygon exercise. The civilian public views a military firing range as a simple patch of dirt where soldiers go to practice shooting paper targets. The Department of Defense views a combined arms live-fire exercise as a massive, highly synchronized industrial operation with a staggering financial burn rate. Executing a single day of complex combat maneuvers requires a logistical footprint that costs the American taxpayer hundreds of thousands of dollars before a single trigger is ever pulled. To understand the economics of the polygon, you must first understand the preparation phase. A live-fire day does not begin on the range. It begins 48 hours prior in the motor pool. To transport a single 40-man infantry platoon and their equipment to a remote training area, the military must dispatch a convoy of heavy tactical vehicles. Operating a fleet of Stryker armored vehicles or heavy transport trucks consumes hundreds of gallons of diesel fuel per hour, instantly initiating a massive logistical burn rate. Before the convoy ever leaves the gate, the medical infrastructure must be firmly established. The military does not conduct live-fire maneuvers without dedicated, highly trained medical assets actively standing by. A fully equipped military ambulance, staffed by combat medics carrying advanced trauma life support gear, must be physically present on the range. In high-risk exercises involving explosives or close-quarters battle, a medical evacuation helicopter is placed on active standby on the tarmac, burning thousands of dollars an hour in operational readiness costs just to ensure a casualty can reach a surgical hospital within the golden hour. When the platoon finally arrives at the polygon, they do not immediately step onto the firing line. The modern military recognizes that shooting a rifle perfectly while resting is a mathematically useless skill in combat. Therefore, they integrate severe physical obstacle courses directly into the live-fire sequence. The objective is to forcefully spike the soldier's heart rate to 160 beats per minute, flood their forearms with lactic acid, and drastically reduce the oxygen flow to their prefrontal cortex before they are allowed to load a live weapon. The obstacle course, often referred to as a combat conditioning track, consists of heavy wooden walls, jagged concrete drainage pipes, and thick rope climbs suspended over stagnant mud. The soldiers must navigate this gauntlet while wearing heavy ballistic plates, Kevlar helmets, and carrying their primary weapon systems. The physical friction of hauling an extra 40 to 60 pounds over an 8-foot wall aggressively degrades the soldiers' fine motor skills. By the time they reach the end of the physical track, their hands are shaking violently, their lungs are burning, and their visual focus is severely narrowed by a massive adrenaline dump. This is the exact moment the live-fire iteration begins. The soldiers transition directly from the obstacle course into a simulated combat environment, stepping onto a highly advanced, automated firing range. These polygons are equipped with complex computerized target systems, such as the location of miss and hit technology. These robotic silhouettes pop up from the brush at unpredictable intervals, register the supersonic shockwave of an incoming bullet, and instantly transmit the precise impact data back to a central control tower. The infrastructure required to maintain these automated ranges costs millions of dollars to install and hundreds of thousands of dollars annually to repair. When a soldier sends a burst of automatic fire into a robotic target array, they are inevitably destroying delicate sensors, wiring harnesses, and motorized actuators. The military permanently employs civilian contractors and range control personnel whose entire job is to replace the shattered technology that the infantry destroys on a daily basis. Once the soldiers cross the line of departure, the financial cost of the ammunition takes center stage. A single 5.56mm rifle cartridge costs the government roughly 40 to 60 cents. When an entire platoon engages a simulated enemy element, they will fire thousands of rounds in a matter of minutes. The suppressive fire from the M240 Bravo medium machine guns consumes heavy 7.62mm ammunition linked by the hundreds, pushing the immediate financial cost of the exercise into the tens of thousands of dollars. But small arms ammunition is merely the baseline. When the platoon leader calls for heavy weapons support, the economics become truly staggering. An infantry squad fires an AT-4 unguided anti-armor rocket at a simulated bunker, instantly vaporizing $1,500. A soldier launches a single Javelin anti-tank guided missile, and the military mathematically burns through nearly $200,000 in exactly 10 seconds. The sheer volume of high explosives utilized to train a single element requires a national defense budget capable of absorbing massive, immediate financial destruction. During this orchestrated chaos, the instructor cadre is actively observing every single movement. They are not merely grading marksmanship. They are executing a ruthless psychological and mechanical filter. The military actively utilizes the Live-Fire Polygon to identify which soldiers possess the cognitive discipline to process chaotic data and which soldiers become a fatal liability. If an exhausted private drops their weapon, flags their teammate with a loaded muzzle, or freezes entirely when a robotic target appears, the cadre instantly pulls them off the line. The civilian perspective often questions why the military allows recruits to wash out or fail after spending so much money training them. The unclassified truth is that the military actively wants to find the breaking point of every single service member in a controlled environment. A soldier who cannot clear a complex weapon malfunction while their heart is pounding and explosives are detonating nearby is biologically unfit for close-quarters combat. It is infinitely cheaper and strategically safer to administratively discharge a failing soldier than it is to pay the massive life insurance payout and suffer the operational failure of a friendly fire incident in a real war. Not everyone can pass the stress of the Live-Fire Polygon because not every human brain is wired to compartmentalize acoustic trauma and physical exhaustion. And more importantly, not everyone is needed. The military is a highly specialized instrument of violence, and the infantry requires a specific neurological profile that defaults to aggressive mechanical procedures when the body is in sheer panic. The obstacle courses and the automated ranges are simply the industrial sieves used to separate the operators from the liabilities. When the final target drops and the command to cease fire echoes across the range, the exercise is over, but the work is absolutely not. The recovery phase is a grueling, hours-long logistical requirement. The soldiers must form a horizontal line and slowly walk the entire length of the polygon, meticulously policing up every single piece of expended brass and linked ammunition belt. The military recycles this brass to recoup a fraction of the manufacturing costs, and leaving unexploded ordnance on the range is a severe safety violation that can shut down the entire installation. Following the brass sweep, the unit transitions into the after-action review known as the AAR. The platoon sits in the dirt while the cadre dissects every tactical failure, communication breakdown, and geometric error made during the assault. The AAR strips away the ego, forcing junior leaders to publicly take accountability for ordering their squads into simulated kill zones. This analytical teardown is where the actual intellectual growth occurs, turning the millions of dollars of burned fuel and ammunition into permanent institutional knowledge. The final stage of the day occurs late into the evening, often past 8 or 9 at night, back at the company armory. The soldiers are exhausted, dehydrated, and covered in carbon fouling, but they are not allowed to sleep. They must spend hours methodically scraping the carbon buildup from the bolt carrier groups of their rifles, applying specialized solvents, and submitting their weapons to the armorer for a pristine white glove inspection. A single speck of dirt in the chamber means the weapon is rejected, and the soldier continues cleaning until the mechanical standard is met. The economics and the psychology of the military firing range reveal a profound truth about institutional violence. The Department of Defense does not spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a day just to let soldiers shoot guns. They spend the money to manufacture an environment so chaotic, so physically demanding, and so cognitively overwhelming that a soldier's civilian instincts are completely overwritten by mechanical combat doctrine. The polygon is where the theoretical concepts of warfare are violently forged into muscle memory, and the price tag is simply the cost of doing business. If this gave you a real picture of what a live fire range day actually costs, hit the like button. Drop a comment. Have you ever run a military obstacle course? What was the moment the exhaustion finally caught up with you? Share this with someone who thinks military training is just camping with guns. They need to understand the brutal economics of the firing line.